Last week, during a regional summit in Kazakhstan, Russian President Vladimir Putin floated the idea of turning Türkiye into a major natural gas supply hub for Europe. Already home to several key pipelines that supply the EU, Putin offered to build additional links to the TurkStream pipeline that travels under the Black Sea. President Erdogan, who met the Russian leader in Astana last week, said the proposal would be put to work. Turkey's Thrace region, which borders Bulgaria to the north and Greece to the west, could be the location for the gas distribution center. That's according to President Erdogan, who was quoted as saying there'll be no waiting. Meanwhile, Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu said the proposal needs to be studied well, adding that Turkey wanted to relieve Europe's energy crisis. Russian gas deliveries to Germany via the Nordstream pipeline stopped last month over what Moscow says are technical issues. So will Putin's proposal help solve long-standing energy issues, and will Europe come on board to support the gas hub plan? And to further discuss Putin's proposal, joining me now from Berlin is Thomas O'Donnell. He's an energy analyst and consultant at Global Energy System. And Eser Özdil from Ankara. He is the former Secretary General of the Petroleum and Natural Gas Platform Association in Turkey. Gentlemen, welcome to Straight Talk. It's good to have you on the program. Thomas, why do you think the Russian President Vladimir Putin has come up with this proposal of making Turkey an energy hub?
Well, first off, thanks for having me again today. Well, basically, by totally following up his invasion of Ukraine, he's doing very poorly. He has had to rely on his natural gas as a weaponized instrument against Europe. He's cut it off because Europe was very dependent, and he's cut off most of the flows to Europe, hoping that'll break the solidarity in Europe and help him in Ukraine. Excuse me. Meanwhile, there goes his natural gas business. He's only got one pipeline going off through Siberia all the way to China. What to do with all that gas that used to go through Nordstream and through Ukraine? He's proposing to Mr. Erdogan that it be delivered to Turkey and Turkey can market this to the world. He's trying to save his natural gas business as his country and his energy sector is sinking.
But there are lots of challenges. So Turkish President Erdogan has said he have instructed their respective energy authorities to immediately begin technical talks on this project. Is this a viable project at the moment?
Well, thanks for having me today as well. And I can add some comments to Tom's explanations. The first, about the viability. If we look at the Turkish and Russian gas connections, we have two pipelines between two countries.
Yes.
TurkStream and Bluestream. Right now, this current capacity is working almost with full load, and there is no idle capacity. So if we are thinking on to bring more Russian gas, actually we need more capacity, the pipeline capacity. So this is the first action. And actually this will take time. It's not going to be in the short period of time. The second, about the viability, I would like to underline that a fully fledged gas trading hub is created by multiple players, which are mostly private sector companies. And only one source will not increase the viability of the gas trading hub. Multiple sources should be in place. That's why actually Turkey should import gas from different sources, not only from Russia, from Azerbaijan, as in LNG from international markets as well. So this is going to increase the viability of the project.
So you're kind of talking about the mixture of gas supplies here. That brings the question, Tom, why would Europe, which is trying to, wean itself from of Russian energy, would buy Russian gas via Turkey?
Very good question. I'm trying to find somebody who's interested. I don't think there is anybody. Well, there might be some people in Hungary. This does not sound like a very viable plan. I agree with the points our colleague Asher has just made. If you think about it, any project and he would know better than I exactly what pipelines would be needed, but I think a pipeline would have to be built south from about the position of Ukraine's border, or there's some other possibilities. But these pipelines would be at least, I'd say, a 5-year project if they're lucky. In 5 years, the European Union, just to be clear, will not only be independent of Russian oil and gas due to refusing to take it by that point, but there's plenty of gas in the rest of the world. The United States, Qatar, Australia, Egypt, Israel, Algeria are all developed, and Norway are all developing more capacity to either send by pipeline or LNG to Europe and to Asia. And there will be really no need for any more Russian gas. So the market potential of this, aside from the fact that Europe wouldn't want it for political reasons, because of what's going on in Ukraine, would be very low, I think.
Eser, would you agree with Thomas? And what are the challenges before such a project? Thomas said it would take at least 5 years to build such. But do both countries at the moment have the financial capacities to undertake such a colossal project? And do you believe there is going to be other bidders?
Well, first, let me share my comments about technicality. If we just remember the TurkStream cases, actually after signing intergovernmental agreement, the realization of the project took less than 3 years. But at that time, Russia had enough financial power, plus Gazprom and other Russian counterparties could take advantage of the European technology, especially for laying the pipeline under the Black Sea. Because in certain parts of the Black Sea, the depth goes up to 2,000 meters. So the high technology is needed to construct this pipeline or to add new string to current TurkStream pipeline. So that's why in the current situation, the technicality might be challenging in terms of offshore technologies for laying the pipeline, because right now, because of the sanctions, Gazprom or any kind of Russian entity cannot take advantage of the developed Western technology. This is the first.
So continue,
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. The second one about the financial power. If we look at the current ruble-USD parity, it seems that ruble is quite strong. And because of high energy prices, I mean the gas and oil prices, it seems that Russia has enough foreign currency to invest. But again, the first question is, there is some shortage about the technical issues to lay the pipeline.
So besides determining its feasibility, Tom, what should be the next step moving forward? I mean, would it be Turkey's job to convince potential European buyers?
Well, that's what's questionable. It's difficult to say if, in reality, Mr. Erdogan and his advisors think this is realistic, unless they're thinking beyond when, Putin loses the war in Ukraine and there's negotiations and it's something in the future. To me, the real significance of this right now is it's very political. For Turkey and Erdogan to say they're willing to do, and so rapidly say they're willing to do something like this with Russia, makes trouble in the NATO alliance. Now, that can be interpreted various ways. The reality is Turkey needs to improve relations with the United States in order to improve its relations in the whole Middle East region. That's a bit of a long story. And there's a big fight going on for some years before the war over gas in the Eastern Mediterranean, that Turkey wants a piece or a part of all the gas that's being developed in the Eastern Mediterranean, and has blocked a number of projects, hoping that it can get a slice of this gas, whether it's in its territorial waters or not. So this may be a ploy to cause some trouble with NATO and with Washington, and to get something in return, which there's a lot of things Turkey would like in return. And I wonder if that's actually what it's about.
Well, the positions of Germany and the Netherlands needs to be seen in the future. But as Tom mentioned, could Turkey, if this project is realized, still maintain its balancing act and mediator role?
Well, actually, depends on many different parameters. What I see, just before the war between Ukraine and Russia, actually Germany was playing the major distribution role of Russian natural gas to the European markets, thanks to Nord Stream 1. And Nord Stream 2 was constructed to increase this gas flows via Germany. And since 2014, actually Ukraine even was purchasing gas, Ukraine was purchasing Russian origin gas under reverse flow via Germany and other European countries. So what I feel that more or less Russia and Turkey is trying to do much more the same, especially for the Southeastern European countries. Right now, we know that from the market, most of the East European countries are looking for utilization of Turkish infrastructure, especially LNG terminals, because Turkey has the largest LNG terminal capacity in Southeastern Europe, and Turkey has the largest LNG terminal capacity, the fourth largest LNG terminal capacity in all Europe. So that's why it is going to be a little bit questionable to keep Turkey's unbiased position,
Yes.
but very much dependent on the development in the field, especially in Ukraine. So it's too early to call right now.
So, Thomas, Russia is looking to redirect supplies away from the Nordstream gas pipelines in the Baltic. There were some explosions and damages to to these pipelines, and that's why many believe that Putin is proposing this deal to Turkish President Erdogan. But why would Russian President Vladimir Putin sabotage his own pipelines at a time when he needs them the most?
Okay, so two things here. As I said earlier, well, first of all, Russia is a big exporter of oil and gas, and they've always made much more money on oil, 2 to 4 times, depending on how you look at it, than on gas. Now, on the other hand, European Union is much more dependent on natural gas than it is on Russian oil, because it has so far mostly arrived by pipeline. And it's hard to replace the pipelines. You need LNG terminals and new pipelines from other countries. So in the short term, when Russia is in such problems militarily with its fiasco of a war in Ukraine, the place where he can put Putin and the Kremlin can put the most pressure on Europe and sacrifice the least themselves energetically is by cutting off its natural gas, which doesn't make as much money as oil, and which makes the European Union probably for 2 or 3 winters suffer fairly badly, could even cause recessions. So this is a big lever for Putin. Now, here's the thing. To cut off the natural gas, he needs a legal reason, or so let me go through this. First, he tried demanding rubles, and that only partially worked. Then he said the compressors were broken on Nord Stream 1, and then the Chancellor of Germany said, no, the compressor's right here. We'll lift the sanctions, come and take the compressor, you can have it.
Yes.
And then Putin doesn't come and get it. So he needed a reason for force majeure. He needed a legal reason. He's going to be sued for tens of billions of dollars for all the companies that are going bankrupt and not taking delivery in Europe. He could lose his pipelines, his refineries, his ships, and so forth, and storage in Europe. That'll be taken if he doesn't pay for all the damages that they've done when it goes to arbitration. So
Yes.
by blowing up the pipelines, he has a force majeure. I can't send it. That's what most people in the gas sector that I've talked to that work in Europe have theorized.
All right, gentlemen, unfortunately, we'll have to leave it here. Thank you very much for joining me on Straight Talk.